Download this code from codegive.com, link in the description below. Sure. Here's a beginner-friendly tutorial on SwiftUI fundamentals, designed to give you a solid foundation in building user interfaces for iOS, macOS, watchos, and tvos apps. We'll cover the basics, including views, layout, data binding, and more. SwiftUI Fundamentals Tutorial. Prerequisites. Basic understanding of Swift programming language. Xcode installed, preferably the latest version. 1. Introduction to SwiftUI. SwiftUI is a declarative framework introduced by Apple for building user interfaces across all its platforms. It allows developers to create UI components that automatically update when the underlying data changes. 2. Setting up a SwiftUI project. 1. Open Xcode and create a new project. 2. Choose App under the iOS tab. 3. Name your project, example myfirstswiftuiapp. 4. Select Swift as the language and SwiftUI as the user interface. 5. Click Next and choose a location to save your project. 3. Understanding the basic structure. When you create a new SwiftUI project, Xcode provides a default content view.swift file, which contains a basic SwiftUI view. View, a protocol that represents a view in SwiftUI. Body, a computed property that describes the view's content and layout. Text, a view that displays one or more lines of text. 4. Building views. Let's explore some fundamental views. Text, displays a text label. Image, displays an image. Button, a tappable button. 5. Layouts in SwiftUI. SwiftUI offers various layout containers. HStack, arranges views horizontally. VStack, arranges views vertically. ZStack, overlays views on top of each other. 6. State and data binding. SwiftUI uses a state-driven approach to manage the data flow. Use @state to declare a mutable state variable. 7. Using lists. For displaying collections of data, you can use list. 8. Navigation. To navigate between views, use navigation view and navigation link. 9. Modifiers. SwiftUI views are highly customizable using modifiers. Modifiers are methods that you can chain to change the appearance or behavior of a view. 10. Conclusion and next steps. Congratulations! You've learned the basics of SwiftUI. Here are some next steps you can take. Explore more complex layout structures like grid and form. Learn about @ObservedObject and @EnvironmentObject for more advanced data handling. Experiment with animations and transitions. Build a complete app using SwiftUI. Resources. Apple's SwiftUI documentation, https://developer.apple.com/documentation/SwiftUI. Hacking with Swift, SwiftUI, https://www.hackingwithswift.com/plus/SwiftUI. SwiftUI by example, https://www.hackingwithswift.com/read/what's-new-in-SwiftUI. Happy coding! If you have any questions or need further clarification on any topic, feel free to ask. Certainly. SwiftUI is Apple's modern UI framework for building user interfaces across all Apple platforms. It allows developers to create UIs in a declarative manner, making it easier to understand and manage UI state. SwiftUI Fundamentals, a beginner-friendly tutorial. 1. Setting up your environment. To start using SwiftUI, you need a Mac with macOS, Catalina or later. Xcode, version 11 or later, installed. 2. Creating your first SwiftUI app. 1. Open Xcode and select Create a new Xcode project. 2. Choose App under the iOS tab and click Next. 3. Fill in the project details. Product name, myfirstswiftuiapp. Interface, SwiftUI. Language, Swift. 4. Click Next and choose a location to save your project. 3. Understanding the structure. In your project, you will see several files. Content view.swift, the main UI file where you will build your views. myfirstswiftuiapp.swift, the entry point of your app. 4. Creating a simple user interface. Let's start by modifying content view.swift to create a simple user interface. 5. SwiftUI layouts. SwiftUI uses a declarative syntax to build UIs. Common layout containers include vstack, stacks views vertically. hstack, stacks views horizontally. zstack, overlays views on top of each other. Here's an example using hstack and zstack. 6. Working with state. State management in SwiftUI is crucial. You can use @state to create state variables that trigger UI updates. 7. Navigation. SwiftUI makes navigation simple using navigation view and navigation link. 8. Lists and data. To display lists of data, use list. Here's how to create a list of items. 9. Modifiers. SwiftUI uses modifiers to customize views. Here's an example of how to style a text view. 10. Previews. SwiftUI includes a powerful live preview feature. You can see changes in real time by modifying your views in content view_previews. Conclusion. SwiftUI is a powerful framework for building user interfaces across Apple platforms. This tutorial covered the basics, including setting up your environment, creating user interfaces, managing state, navigation, and using lists. As you become more familiar with SwiftUI, you'll discover more advanced features like animations, gestures, and integrating with Combine for reactive programming. Additional resources. Apple's SwiftUI documentation, https://developer.apple.com/documentation/SwiftUI. Stanford CS193P, Developing Apps for iOS, https://cs193p.sites.stanford.edu. Feel free to explore and experiment with the code examples provided. Happy coding!